Stay classy, Golden Eagles. So this is going to be lesson 2 with geometry, focusing on triangles. So in your last lesson, our 2 learning targets where you'll be able to describe what a vertex is, and you'll be able to name triangles. Now, today we're going to go ahead and change it up just slightly. And what we're going to do is we're going to do what's called classifying or determining exactly the name of a triangle. So not a CDF or an ABC, but either it's going to be a right triangle, an obtuse triangle, or an acute triangle. Now, you guys may have had some experience in the past, so this may be a little bit of a review, but let's go ahead and get into this. So our learning target today is I will be able to determine if a triangle is right, obtuse, or an acute triangle, and you'll be able to label a given triangle as that, okay? Either label it as a right triangle, an obtuse triangle, or an acute triangle. So the first one that I want to talk about today is a right triangle. And a right triangle has only one, it can't have more than one, has only one right angle, and a right angle where it is equal to 90. Now, a lot of you guys don't have protractors at home or don't have an ability to measure a particular triangle, but there's a way that you can see that in a particular right triangle. A 90-degree angle always shows up when a triangle has 2 perfectly straight lines, and I'm doing my best with my arms, that meet together, okay? And so a right triangle has one vertex that equals exactly 90 degrees. So in this situation, I forgot my pen, is our right triangle. And sometimes, not always, sometimes you will see that with a little box in the corner there. Okay, so this particular triangle is a right triangle because it has a vertex meeting point where 2 lines come in perfectly straight, or as straight as I can make it with a ruler. So that's our first one, and that would be labeled as a right triangle. Now, the second one I want to talk about is called an obtuse triangle. Now, sometimes people think about obtuse triangles as being ugly or not as acute, because acute will come up later. An obtuse triangle is a larger triangle. So an obtuse triangle has one obtuse angle that is greater than 90 degrees. So if a 90-degree angle is where 2 lines perfectly meet up together, a 90-degree one would start here and go perfectly straight up. But notice how it goes a little bit farther. So an obtuse angle goes past 90 degrees. So let's think about it this way. If this is 90 degrees, an obtuse angle would be further out like this. Okay? 90 would be here, greater than 90 would be out here. So if you see any vertex on a triangle having a angles where 2 vertexes meet, that's greater than 90, it's always going to be an obtuse triangle, and it only takes one angle, right? Just like with a right triangle, it only takes one of them to come in perfectly at 90 degrees to make it a right triangle, okay? If you measured any meeting point or vertices of any triangle, they will always add up to 180. And that's why you can't have a triangle with 2 right angles, because 90 plus 90 or 90 times 2 is 180. And then you still have one missing spot, so it can't happen. You can have a 90, an 89, and a 1, but it can't be 2. And you can't have 2 vertices that are greater than 90 in one particular triangle, because just what we talked about. If it were 91 plus 91, it would break the laws of triangles. The last one we're going to look at today, ladies and gentlemen, is an acute triangle. And a lot of people like to think of acute triangle as cute and being smaller, okay? So an acute triangle has all angles. That's the key thing. All vertices, all angles are less than 90 degrees. If you had a protractor, you could measure all of these and they will all be less than 90. But added up, they will all equal to be 180, just like any other triangle, whether it's obtuse, acute, or a right triangle, okay? So the best way to determine to look at a right triangle is to find a spot where 2 lines perfectly meet up. If you find a triangle and it has 2 spots where a vertice or 2 sides perfectly meet up, it's a right triangle. If you have a triangle that you're looking at and you have a vertice meetup of 2 sides that's bigger than 90, it's instantly an obtuse triangle. And finally, if you have a triangle that does not have a 90, does not have an obtuse angle, it must then be an acute triangle because they're all less than 90 degrees. Okay? So let's go back and revisit our learning target for today. Our learning target again was you will or I will be able to determine if a triangle is right, obtuse, or an acute triangle, okay? And using what we just talked about with those three different definitions, okay? Acute, all of them are less than 90. Obtuse, one of them is greater than 90. And a right, one is exactly 90. You'll be able to determine exactly what type or classification of triangle it is. So this is different from naming. This isn't the ABC. This is only three choices. Is it acute? Is it obtuse, or is it a right triangle, okay? In today's activity, there are 7 questions, and one part of it says to color it in green, red, or yellow. Guys, since we're doing it on computers, it doesn't seem like that will you will be able to do that. But what you could do is if you write for number 1 and you determine that it's a right triangle, you could go ahead and follow along and type in right triangle in red if you would like to, okay? Not a requirement on that, but something that you could do. So again, if you decided that you wanted to do the whole week's worth of answer sheets, so for pages 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, go to Monday's post from Mr. Holt or myself, and it's there. If you decided to do each one daily, then click on today's link, which will be page 2 from triangles, and work on that. As always, if you have any questions, post them in the comments below, email myself or Mr. Holt, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. As always, stay classy, Golden Eagles.